Hi, you're with India Post Live, India's first online news conversation web portal. I'm Ishan Russell, and today we're talking about hate speeches, and especially one particular one made by a gentleman from the VHP called Mr. Praveen Togadia. Well, that has not gone down well with anybody, the kind of statement that he made. Even the BJP's prime ministerial candidate Narendra Modi came out and said that statements such as this should not be made at such a time, and so he's completely not endorsing it. But then many are questioning it, especially from the Congress and other political parties, that if tomorrow Narendra Modi comes to power, can we expect more leaders like Praveen Togadia to find space and find actual support from the government? That's a big question mark, and that is what we are questioning today. And you too can join in. You can participate via Twitter. Use our hashtag, the handle at India Post Live or hashtag India Post Live, or you can just go to our website indiapostlive.com and log in and post your comments. And in fact, while you're there on indiapostlive.com, you can check out a cool new game that we've uploaded. That's a race for your votes, and you can play as Narendra Modi, or you can play as, in fact that should be on your screen, that is over there. You can play as Arvind Kejriwal, or you can play as Narendra Modi and or Rahul Gandhi, and just try to get most votes and let us know of whether who is winning according to you, and whether you'd like to be in the driver's seat as far as these political leaders are concerned. All right, now let's get back to this discussion about Praveen Togadia. First, let's set it up for you. Let's see what he had to say.
Will you repeat Gujarat?
In a high-pitched general election, how was Praveen Togadia going to miss out hitting headlines? The right-wing organization Vishwa Hindu Parishad's president Togadia is known for his hate speeches. He had the Mercury heading north in Gujarat's Bhavnagar last Saturday, when he targeted Muslims for buying residential property in Hindu areas. Not only did he ask the state government to invoke Disturbed Areas Act, which doesn't allow inter-community sale of immovable property, he went on to ask the crowd to forcibly take control of the house. Mr. Togadia did show his kinder side when he gave 48 hours to the owner to vacate the house. It's time Mr. Modi showed us how he will handle the favorite boys of the Sangh Parivar.
All right, to discuss how this will impact the country, is this going to impact the general election, and overall, is this a strategy on the BJP's part? Well, Sanjeev Singh joins us from the BJP. He's the co-convener of the IT cell of the BJP, and he'll be joining us and sharing their points of view. Also, in our studio, we have Shehzad Poonawalla, who's been very kind and patient with us to sit through a little wait we had while Sanjeev got through. So, Shehzad, thanks very much for joining in. He's, of course, from the Congress party and is a social activist. And Sanjeev Singh, his namesake, is also there with us, who is our resident expert, and of course has covered Gujarat, and particularly for a number of years, and has covered even Mr. Togadia. So Sanjeev, I'll start with you to set it up. How seriously do we take Mr. Togadia, Mr. Sanjeev Ratna Singh? I'll say, okay. No, I would not. I would not. I'm sure Sanjeev Singh would. All right. So Sanjeev in the studio, set it up for us. Do we really take Praveen Togadia that seriously, or is it a cause for concern when many say that whatever Narendra Modi does, that aside, fringe elements like Praveen Togadia do get emboldened if the BJP comes to power?
Well, of course, there's no denying that they will get emboldened. But you see, the situation of VHP and especially Praveen Togadia is a lot different from what it was earlier. Now, Praveen Togadia is more of a fringe player because the main base from where VHP comes is Gujarat. And there we've seen how Narendra Modi has slowly ensured that he's the only person who is, who's responsible for everything. And the other organizations of the Sangh Parivar have played second fiddle to him. So, in a way, BJP can easily say that, because Mr. Togadia is a fringe player, that's why he's saying all this to damage Narendra Modi. But at the end of the day, both Mr. Togadia and Narendra Modi, they are a part of the same team, they are a part of the same structure, and they believe in the same values. So, somewhere down the line, Mr. Modi will have to take a call on whether he is going to allow these type of people to actually eat up that space, or are we going to see a more moderate Narendra Modi coming in?
All right, Sanjeev, I know you want to respond to that, but Shahzad, you filed a case against Praveen Togadia, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yes, so Praveen Togadia is a history sheeter when it comes to using language of communalism, which he is obviously following on the footsteps of his Akas in BJP and RSS. He had made certain inflammatory comments on Twitter regarding one community perpetrating violence on another and exhorting the majority community to retaliate. UP police has sure enough not acted against him or against Subramaniam Swamy. My question is not about, see, today Praveen Togadia and Modi do not share a great equation. That is purely for political reasons, because they didn't want to concede political space to each other, not because they have an ideological difference. Mr. Narendra Modi says that in his speech that I will not wear a Muslim cap, but if somebody toys with the Muslim cap, I will take action against that. This is a case where a Muslim cap is being toyed with, because he's the Chief Minister of Gujarat where this statement was made. Arrest this guy, he will not do it. Secondly, the RSS's manifesto and RSS's ideological bearings, MS Golwalkar says that India should replicate Germany in purging Muslims just like the way Jews were purged from Germany. And the same treatment, whether it was putting them in gas chambers or racial segregation, should be done. They will comment against this nobody called Praveen Togadia. Can they have the guts to comment against Mohan Bhagwat and RSS who does the same thing? And my third question, do you think that it is a mere coincidence that this gentleman makes this statement in Gujarat, the other gentleman, Giriraj Singh, makes his statement in Bihar, and both of them are going to go to the polls? So somebody is laying the footwork and fertilizing the grounds for communalism, and then the harvest is reaped by Mr. Modi.
All right, so a lot of accusations, Sanjeev. Respond now. You've been rather patient.
Yeah. The point is, the person concerned has denied having made those statements, one. Second, what has been our official response? Everybody, our official spokesperson, top leaders, everybody has condemned and clearly said that we do not endorse if some statement like this has been made. So our official statement is absolutely clear. We do not condone nor endorse such statements made by whosoever it may be.
All right, but then the official statement aside, the fear that many would have is that, fine, Narendra Modi is not too happy with Praveen Togadia or any other fringe elements, but they do get emboldened. They say that, ab ki baar Modi sarkar, ab ki baar hamari sarkar, meaning our government is coming, and therefore I mean, how does one prevent that kind of a fervor that often rises with somebody with a polarizing figure?
See, there are always fringe elements in a society among every community. See, how a person should be judging BJP or the states ruled by BJP is by our track record. What has been our track record? Except for, the much hyped 2002 riots, other than that, not a single riot has taken place in any of our ruled states. The track record with regard to development has been, impeccable. The welfare schemes, which includes minority community also, has been running on, perfectly well, and everybody is benefiting from them, including, minorities, who are otherwise, an attempt is always being made to instigate them against us. But we will always request, our friends across all strata and community to judge us by our track record, nothing else.
Sanjeev, I was just going through Mr. Togadia's speeches, and when that infamous Akbaruddin Owaisi case had come up, there Mr. Togadia was highlighting the achievements of various governments and the work done by the Saffron Brigade. And there he happened to mention about the 2002 riots, saying that, the police was there standing and we did whatever we had to do, so you guys better watch out. So, I mean, that is a sort of achievement that the VHP says from, at a public fora. So, how will you react to such things being said? You're talking about development. Mr. Narendra Modi tweets that, we are going off the development agenda, but it takes him 4 days to react to this. And that too when, campaigning is over for the polling on 24th.
See, Narendra Bhai has constantly been focusing on developmental issues. Point out a single statement made in across this entire campaign where he has digressed from developmental thing. Secondly, again harping back to 2002, it's been 12 years. A person who would have been, taken admission into a nursery school in 2002 would have, entered a college right now. And look at the track record. Has there been a single riot in Gujarat subsequent to that, or Madhya Pradesh for that matter, or Chhattisgarh, any state? Look at Goa,
Fair
people
enough. I mean, he's making a point
So
that
I want to-
development. I mean, and I would agree with him on that.
I
That
want
other
to-
than that point of 2002, BJP has been doing a pretty good job as far
Now
as
let me
development is
rebut
concerned.
every claim that has been made by him. First of all, he says that 2002 has been overhyped, and anybody who was in class 1 in 2002 would have graduated in 2014. By that same logic, anybody who was in class 1 in 1984 would have been in which class right now? Why do they keep removing the 1984 riots? Secondly, so that's not much hype. 2002 is much hype. When it suits them politically, it's not much hype. Secondly, he is talking about Praveen Togadia being a fringe element. I would like to tell him that Subramaniam Swamy, who is the head of the Strategic Action Committee for these current elections, one of the stalwart leaders of the BJP, says this about Muslims. A Muslim of India can be a Hindustani or a jihadi. A moderate Muslim is an oxymoron like boiled ice cream.
This is his tweet?
This is his tweet, yes. Okay? And this is just one of the tweets that you can read on television. It's not even a tweet that you can't read. He's spoken in such language about Muslims and such things about Prophet Muhammad that it will be unbelievable to even say it. Complaints have been filed. He's out on bail right now for his speeches. Why doesn't Mr. Modi distance himself from these leaders, which is the mainstream? And my crux of my question is that the RSS's ideology, as I showed you in the book written by Mr. Golwalkar, We Are Nationhood Defined, says that we should make India Hindu Rashtra and we should do the same thing that was done with Jews to Muslims in India. Please ask any BJP leader to condemn this viewpoint of the RSS, then I will agree that BJP is saying something else. And as far as he's saying that current election, where has he communalized? Please go back to the speeches of Amit Shah. Amit Shah in Western UP, not only did he say Apman ka badla, but he also said things like that these beggars, Muslims, have become billionaires by exporting meat and running slaughterhouses. And this, he has said this over and over again in UP. He really doesn't know that the maximum number of licenses given to slaughterhouses was during the NDA regime actually.
All right, so Sanjeev, a lot of accusations, a lot of angry accusations coming your way. I mean, your defense for this one now.
Yeah, my friend Shahjad is a skilled debater. No arguments on that that count. See, point is, if you look at, let's take Subramaniam Swamiji's point which he raised. See, Mr. Swami has already replied to these allegations or whatever he has said. He had at times, amply clarified what he meant by that. Although I can understand a lot of people, trying to settle scores with Mr. Swami, having, exposed the biggest scandal in this country, that was 2G scandal, and being instrumental in a lot of people getting convicted on that. So I can understand that. Secondly, regarding Amit Shahji's point which Shahjad raised, see, Election Commission had that CD of that purported CD where he was supposed to have made those statements, and seen in that entire context, nothing was found to light. I can understand, the penchant of our rivals to try and dig up stories where there aren't any, but Election Commission analyzed that, received the reply to their notice, and then lifted the ban on Amit Shah. So that clearly shows there was no, substantial substance which was found in those CDs. That is the other thing. Coming back to that 1984 thing which Sajaz said, see, has there been a single conviction on 1984 riots, whereas there are scores of conviction in 2002 riots? So that clearly, makes a distinction between what happened in 84 and what happened in 2002, and how we have followed up on 2002 riots.
He should know, however, that none of the convictions came from Gujarat courts because Supreme Court transferred every riot case out of Gujarat. So those convictions weren't your achievement, first of all. Your own prime ministerial candidate said that it was a blot on democracy. That itself should have been an indication to you, and he said that Raj Dharma wasn't followed. And thirdly, as far as you're talking about this, you have still not answered, will you condemn RSSs? You're saying I'm motivated against Swami, X is motivated against Amit Shah. You perhaps don't know, Sanjeev Singh, the one here, has covered 2002 riots and the aftermath of the 2002 riots. How will Mr. Modi ever take a stand against these things? Because Mr. Modi, when he went around making his speeches of Mia Ahmed Patel, James Michael Lingdo, calling relief camps as baby manufacturing factories, he himself is the commander-in-chief of hate speeches. So how will he ever say anything? You please take a stand against RSS's point of view. You take a stand against Golwalkar. I will leave Congress party if BJP can officially take a stand against RSS and what it says about Muslims.
Why is it required for us to take a stand against RSS? Tell me one thing. Okay, fine. See, you have been highlighting a particular thing, whether that is a valid ground or not, whether this actually happens or not. But I like to highlight a slightly different thing. See, RSS has got so many affiliate organizations. What has been their track record with regard to carrying out humanitarian activities right throughout calamities,
But Sanjeev,
including the one which happens in so-called Muslim dominated
yes, and they were very
areas
helpful
of
even after
yes.
in the aftermath of the 2002 riots. I remember seeing that the relief camps were set up and a lot of help was provided. But that, at the end of the day, does not belie the fact that something really went wrong. The country was scarred. Be it 1984, be it 2002, the country was scarred. The concern, Sanjeev, that many would have, I mean, I would really have this concern is tomorrow, I mean, the fringe elements, are they really with the BJP? I mean, because as Shahzad pointed out, it could seem strategy. And I want to get in Sanjeev Ratna Singh on this. Sanjeev, as far as the poll strategy around polarization is concerned, 2014 seems to be a defining election in terms of that sense.
Well, of course, I mean, coming back to the same point of fringe elements, you had the Shriram Sene when BJP was in power in Karnataka. So there is definitely a question that now people want answers from the BJP, that if at all they come to power, are we going to see these radical outfits go about and have their own way? Mr. Modi can keep saying that I want to talk about development, but that is a question that the BJP has to address seriously. I mean, on the one hand, there is no denying that yes, they can deliver, but the fear of these elements coming in, and as far as 2002 goes, Mr. Modi never visited any relief camp, so far, and he is a master. He knows how to play, and I mentioned that earlier also, that he knows how to play on the insecurity of the majority community, and that's what we've seen in an election right from 2002 onwards. Even now we are seeing with Amit Shah and the likes of Mr. Praveen Togadia trying to play on those emotions. But Sanjeev, we would want to know from you, how will you put people at ease as far as these fringe radical elements are concerned if the NDA comes to power?
See, point is, I'll not like to emphasize on anything else other than, see, what are the official documents, our manifesto, our vision document, our track record. Proof is in eating. Look at how our governments perform. Why do people, and that too, mostly our rivals, these stories are dug out by our rivals. I don't know when that so-called statement which Praveen Togadia ji has made, actually got made, if at all it got made. I don't know. And, everything gets, dug right in midst of election, and that too, when we have been focusing entirely on developmental issue. So if there is nothing else with our rivals to try and fight.
All right, just hold on. But
one more thing. Yeah. I'll be reverting back to what Shahzad had raised at that point in time. Hindu Rashtra. What is a Hindu? Say Hindu. The philosophy of Hindu is that we allow complete freedom to whichever sect or whichever religion, as you may call it, because dharma and religion are not, they cannot be equated. So उपासना पद्धति कुछ भी हो सकती है, यह बात मानने वाला हिंदू है, तो इसमें किसी को क्या ऐतराज हो सकता है? अगर हम ये कहते हैं हम हिंदू राष्ट्र बनाएंगे, माने आप किसी भी रिलीजन के हो सकते हैं, किसी भी धर्म के हो सकते हैं, किसी भी सेक्ट के हो सकते हैं, and you are free to worship the God in which you believe. So this is what Hindu Rashtra is. So if say RSS says Hindu Rashtra, what is the harm in that? What is the objectionable in that?
I'll tell
you. Yeah.
I'll tell you. As far as making it a Hindu Rashtra, you're getting off on a technicality. Okay, I appreciate that. When Mr. Golwalkar says that non-Hindus religious communities like non-Hindus should be treated like Jews of Germany. What does that mean? Is that constitutional and legal? Secondly, our constitution says that, and Mr. Modi says he's India first, and he says constitution is his book by which he swears. Our constitution is very clear. We are a secular nation. We are not a Hindu Pakistan. We are not a Hindu nation. We are not an Islamist nation. We are an Indian people. So how is it that you will follow what RSS says but not what the constitution says? Thirdly, this idea of saying that these are fringe elements, I do not agree. Giriraj Singh is a candidate of the BJP. Mr. Biduri, who said that 30% Muslims support terrorists, is a candidate of the BJP. It is no longer the
Even
fringe.
Vasundhara Raje,
It
your
is-
chief minister
it
in
is
Rajasthan, has
it
said
is
such.
the mainstream of the BJP, and you keep throwing 84 into my face. I would like you to go and read Hindustan Times, 3rd February 2002, in top leaders of the RSS, and I'm going to start naming them: Ram Kumar Jain, Ramchandar Gupta, Ratanlal Gupta, Gyandal Jain, Chandar Sen, Pradeep Kumar Jain. All of these, including the election agent of Mr. Vajpayee, have been charged for the 1984 riots, not by me, but by an independent commission of inquiry which said that RSS workers were responsible for a lot of the killings of 1984. So please do not throw this. Your role in 1984 is also very well documented.
All right, Sanjeev, we're getting a little rhetorical with this conversation, but I just want to talk about polarization. And this is the larger concern, that India has been divided along caste and community for a very long time. This time that religious divide is more apparent than anywhere else. I believe you're in Lucknow right now. Yes, you're in Lucknow right now, and UP has seen the worst of that polarization, where that insecurity. Tomorrow, I really don't care who wins this election, but India could be scarred for life. And isn't that a concern as a young political leader that you share within your party forums?
See, it is almost a given that we are coming to power on May 16th. I'll request everyone concerned to judge us by what we do in years to follow. Do not judge us, and also you can, judge us by what we have done in, our stints of power in various states. So judge us in future by what we have done. Please do not hurl allegations against us which are unfounded, which do not stick with a specific. Somebody mentioned about majority insecurity. It is not about insecurity among majority community. It is about insecurity which these guys exploit among the minority community. So we like to assuage all our minority brothers and sisters, judge us by our track record in past, and also affirm your faith in us and judge us in what we do in future for everybody, every Indian.
Well, I would just like to come in here. He keeps saying that Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, actually Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh are in the top 5 number of states in the last 2 years which have seen communal incidents. I'm quoting out of the MHA figures. Secondly, as far as his entire allegations concerned, he's still not said that he condemns what RSS says about their relationship with Muslims. And thirdly, he says his agenda is about development. Page number 40 and 41 of the BJP manifesto. They talk about pink revolution, they talk about cow protection, they talk about Ram Mandir being built. That's not a religious issue. And they say a very interesting thing. They say India will be home to all persecuted Hindus. Now he doesn't know perhaps that India has the second largest population of Muslims. So it's as much a Muslim country as it is a Hindu country. So why not do you say that we'll be a land for all persecuted Indians? Why just say we are a land for persecuted Hindus? That is not making a religious issue. That's not majoritarian appeasement.
Yeah, the biggest Muslim country, Indonesia, has Hindu, the so-called Hindu religious symbols across its, national symbols, your currency notes and everything. Now coming back again to that thing, Hindu Rashtra thing. I think I had properly clarified it. Whether you want to take it as a technical clarification or whatever it is, I had clarified it, and that is what we mean. See, Hindu, the Sanatani, as we call ourselves, have always been upholders of secular, traditions. Secularism got, this constitution amendment was made in 1975 when secularism was made a part of our constitution. So, things which have been said prior to that at the times of partition and those things, please do not rake those issues. What has been our record subsequent to that 1975 amendment to constitution where secularism was made a part of it. After that, as Modi ji has said, For us, it is India first. It is the Constitution of India, which is the guiding factor.
All right, fair enough. I just want to get in a few viewer comments because we're getting a whole host of responses on Twitter, and you too can join in this conversation. Hashtag India Post Live to your tweets, or use our Twitter handle at India Post Live, or just go to indiapostlive.com and log in and post your comments over there. Ranveer Thakur writes in that BJP doesn't require the filth of the Indian National Congress. He won't do it. Ritika Sharma says he won't do it because the RSS vision is not wrong. So you have a lot of online support, Sanjeev. But Sanjeev, the fact is that Narendra Modi tried to do that image makeover with the Sadbhavna Yatra, Sadbhavna mission that he fast that he sat on. Since then, there hasn't been a lot of building bridges. I mean, your party president Rajnath Singh, of course, went and met a couple of leaders. But I'm just saying, in terms of, because my concern is that post this election, we still remain a divided lot. The past 1.5 months have been very intense in terms of polarization.
See, point is, when you mention about there hasn't been too many instances of building bridges, what do you mean by building bridges? Does when a senior leader goes to a Muslim clergy or ulema, a senior ulema, is that only considered as building bridges? Or what we do for the community at large, an average Muslim, average Christian, minorities, you talk about minorities. Who are the real minorities? Parsis. What has been there? Has there been a single instance of persecution against Parsis? Those are the minuscule minority in this country. So again, I said, please, to all our Muslim and Christian, rather the other minority brothers and sisters, do not, consider when someone, pays obeisance to a ulema, that to be a reiteration of our commitment towards Muslims. Judge us by the development record, judge us by the development initiatives which we take. We like to focus on that. Please do not let certain leaders of community digress the main developmental agenda from us.
All right, Sanjeev. Sanjeev, your namesake has a question for you.
Yes,
Sanjeev, why does the BJP, run the tag of having leaders like we've talked about Praveen Togadia, Amit Shah, Narendra Modi? You're in Lucknow, your BJP candidate there, Rajnath Singh. Why can't the BJP portray the image of someone like a Rajnath Singh who is still acceptable to a lot of minorities and move away from the rhetoric of the election that we're seeing? What you're saying right now is that we are going to have someone like a Narendra Modi and Amit Shah to polarize the voters, and once the votes come in, then we are going to run the country like a Rajnath Singh.
Sanjeev, probably a lot of people are not aware. A lot of Muslim supporters, volunteers are enlisting with us, and they are, contributing a lot to our campaign activities. Muslims from Gujarat have come over to Uttar Pradesh, to their native places, and they are trying to convince their brethren to vote for BJP. Isn't that an absolute, confirmation of our record? Why do you want to diverge issues?
If that is the case, then why do you have people like Giriraj Singh, Vasundhara Raje, and Amit Shah, making these statements? Is there the fear? Is there some sort of insecurity that you may not be able to get that many seats?
See, what has been official response to Giriraj Singh ji's comment? He has been clearly, rebuked on that front.
But the damage is already done, Sanjeev. The damage is already done. I mean, he has done what he had to do.
Not exactly. See, damage is being done when people, rake up these things, trying to, put us off track by, off track against our effort to reach out to Muslim community. As I said, scores of Muslims are working for us in Uttar Pradesh and also in other states. You mentioned about Amit Shah. Amit Shah, represents a constituency where Muslims are in a majority. I know 60% Muslims are there in his constituency. Can he win without his that community's active support?
I've been there. I've seen that. There is a certain section of Muslims in Ahmedabad which votes for the BJP. That is basically the business community. But if you go in his erstwhile constituency the last time before delimitation, there was a majority of this chunk that came under Juhapura. And if you go there, Sanjeev, I'm telling you, you will see the sort of discrimination that is hardly, seen anywhere across the country.
No, and I would like to just reiterate that all these things, in fact, Sanjeev from the BJP says that Muslims of Gujarat and Muslims of Uttar Pradesh are campaigning for Mr. Modi. Then I just want to know that how unthoughtful of Mr. Modi to not give a single ticket to any Muslim in Gujarat over the last 13 years or in Uttar Pradesh to contest one puny election. 1 minute. Now let me say that. If he's so convinced about Muslims joining the BJP, if Muslims are so much supporting of the BJP, why not give a single ticket to contest? Not because he's a Muslim, but because he's an Indian. Why don't you do that? And again, the track record that they're going by, Mr. Modi has never visited a single relief camp in Gujarat. He says India first, but he has never spoken about Muzaffarnagar riot victims. In fact, the only time they go there and speak is when they say Apman ka badla lena hoga. And again, I want to reiterate, this is MHA figures. Out of the last year, out of the 700 odd communal incidents, over 150 took place just in 2 states of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. So please do not keep
That is
taunting
a
these.
whole other debate, and I'll have to really wrap it up because we've absolutely run out of time. I'll thank you both for being patient. Sanjeev, just an assurance that as far as the BJP is concerned, Togadia is not BJP. Just assure that to our viewers.
But it's worse. Modi is BJP and it's worse. You are not getting it. After 2002 riots, the language that was spoken by Mr. Modi would put Mr. Togadia to shame. So the worst thing is that Togadia is not BJP, but Modi is BJP.
Let's wait for a few years.
Unfortunately.
Let's wait for a few years. A lot of people are coming to us. As I said, a lot of Muslims are coming and campaigning for us. अंडा मुर्गी वाली बात है भैया कि पहले अंडा आएगा कि पहले मुर्गी आएगी. आज हमको सपोर्ट मिल रहा है. आप 5 साल बाद के इलेक्शन में दिखिएगा कितने मुस्लिम हमारी तरफ से खड़े होंगे.
जितने को पाकिस्तान नहीं भेजोगे तो हम खड़े रहेंगे शायद. अगर आप पाकिस्तान नहीं भेजोगे तो.
शहजाद भाई, आप इतने समझदार व्यक्ति हैं. आपको इस तरह की बात कौन पाकिस्तान?
आपने तो लोकसभा टिकट दे दिया जिसने ऐसी बात की.
आपका स्वागत करूंगा. आप क्यों नहीं उत्तर प्रदेश आते? मैं आपको दिखाता हूं किस तरह से मुसलमान हमारे साथ.
All right. We'll continue this conversation, and I'll let you to continue this debate. We'll have a discussion very soon. I'll invite both of you to join us once again. Sanjeev, thanks very much. It was a pleasure having you on this show, and Shehzad, as always, a pleasure to have you. And Sanjeev Singh, our resident expert, thanks so much for coming in. Well, that's it in this conversation. The conversations, of course, continue right here on India Post Live.